Mecca lecca hi, mecca hiney ho, everybody. Something amazing happened today. I got a phone call from my hairstylist. I have an appointment to get my hair cut in 10 days. You have no idea. It's a mess. Uh, so that's pretty exciting, but not as exciting as this. I have a saber to show you. This is the Chao's Armory Persuader. This is a saber designed almost explicitly for dueling. It clocks in at 11 and an eighth inches long, and it has a 32-inch transweight blade. And right off the bat, I'm actually going to talk about the blade. This is a very, very nice blade. As you can see, it's transweight. It has kind of that sanded quality to it. Now, I have blades like this by Saber Trio and Vader's Vault, and they're some of the best blades. As far as I'm concerned, they diffuse the light perfectly and evenly all the way up the length of the blade, regardless of the LED. And just the quality of the finish right here, where the tip meets the polycarbonate blade and whatever they use for diffusing film. I went to their website today because I intended on hopefully buying some of these blades, but they don't just sell them separately. And that's a shame because this is a fine blade. It's thick-walled, made for dueling. And the way the hilt is designed is there's I'll just start by talking about the internals. You can see here that you have a latching switch, turns the saber on, and it's recessed into the pommel. That's because this is a saber designed specifically for dueling, and they put the switch here to avoid accidentally turning the saber on and off. While you're in the middle of the duel, which is awesome. And if you remove the pommel, which I'm not going to do just because my filming process is a little bit difficult to do, but if you watch my unboxing video, I did open up the chassis, and I kind of showed that off because it was easier just by virtue of the way I was filming the video, hands-free. If you remove the pommel, this whole chassis comes out, and it's about that long, and it consists of the switching mechanism. There's a lithium-ion 18650 battery, which you can pull out and recharge. The Saber came with an X-Star recharger. I've since replaced the battery with a Trustfire battery because that's kind of my preferred brand. And then you have the LED unit. Now, let's just broach this subject, deal with the gorilla in the room, as it were. The Saber was, when I purchased it, I requested a cyan slash teal, or in parentheses, teal LED. And there's been some debate as to the nature of cyan, and I'm sticking to my guns. I do believe that cyan is a light blue. I work in the digital printing industry, and if you look at the toner cartridges for my machine, for the machines for every single printer, they work CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, black. Cyan has always been a light blue, not green. The pictures convey as much. The machine, when it prints, you can print out cyan kind of samples. It's part of the calibration process. I won't get into the technical aspect of it, but the machine is predicated on the cyan being this specific color, and that's just the way I see it. People can disagree. That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't really bother me any. I'm just gonna hold true to how I feel about it. Now, the thing is that the blade really, to me, isn't cyan at all, and unfortunately, it doesn't translate very well onto the camera. It just simply doesn't. Um, it looks cyan on camera, and there's nothing I can do about that. But in person, it's a light pale green. It's like a mint green with maybe the ever slightest hints of blue. But here it looks blue, and like I said, there's very little I can do about that. Everyone's going to be convinced that this is cyan, but if I get really close, you can kind of start seeing that it's a little bit green. But it is what it is. If you had the saber in your hand, you would go and say to yourself, "Oh wow, that's green." Now, I don't really care because cyan or blue, or green or whatever, it's still a very beautiful color, and this is still a wonderful saber, and I'm not going to fret too much about it. And there's another reason why that doesn't really bother me, and I'll tell you that in just a minute. But while I have the saber on, you can kind of see, at the very least, the consistency of how this blade illuminates. So this is a very, very wonderful transweight blade, and I really like it. And also, while the saber's on, one of the aspects of the design, and it's kind of hard to see while the thing's lit, is these wonderful little windows. As Cindy has pointed out, this is very much like a Liberator, Ultra Saber's Liberator. And I would have to agree with him. Anyway, let's turn this off. So, blade depth. Now, because the chassis occupies this much space, the blade actually goes all the way in here. So the end result is that once you, let me show you where the blade retention screw is. It's right there. Once you get the blade all the way in here and you tighten it, you hear how solid that is? This blade is not coming out, and you're going to get nice solid contact during dueling, so that is phenomenal. The hilt is obviously made out of aluminum, because it really wouldn't be worth much if it wasn't. Now, when you get to this section, there is it's a choke point. And you've probably noticed this is all weathered. You can get this in a plain finish as well. You can even get a tsuba for this hilt. And I chose to go with weathering. I have added a wrap into this natural choke point. You'll notice that the wrap is up towards this end rather than this end, and that's actually kind of interesting because this is where you're going to be gripping the saber. So it makes a lot of sense to actually have the wrap up here than down here. Now, being 11 and an eighth inches long, you can dual wield the saber, but it's light enough that one-handed is perfect. Now, I was watching I won't be too specific, mostly because I can't, because I don't remember all the details. But I was watching a sparring championship dueling video, lightsaber dueling, and one of the combatants was holding his saber down here, and I think he was doing that for ranging and distance purposes, and that just bothered me. You get a much more solid, consistent, firm grip holding your saber up here. I would rather sacrifice a few inches of range just to, make sure that I'm not going to lose my weapon. And that gives you the added ability to use your second hand to, choke down on the saber. And, during certain strikes, you'll definitely want to have that kind of flexibility. And anyway, so having the grip up here really makes a lot of sense. So I went with this is one of the wraps that I purchased from DEFCON Bird. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's like I think it was like a cracked brown or something to that effect. At some point, I'll clarify that in my description of this video, which will probably happen tomorrow, because right after this, I'm going to be doing other things. So, going from one end to the other, you can kind of see the design elements here. It's a very nice emitter. It's a very simple design. There's my wrap. I'm getting better at this. Get some residual glue here and there, but I don't really care. I like this leather. I chose this one because it has kind of that distressed look, and the color kind of doesn't contrast the weathering of the saber too much. I'm not really too sure what this retention screw does, to be perfectly honest. It doesn't really hold the chassis in place because that just comes right out. And I think it may possibly, you can utilize this as a second. I think it actually probably stops the blade. It comes in just far enough, and it's what actually stops the blade. But if you were to loosen this, you might be able to use this as a second blade retention screw, but that's just a theory of mine. But then by then the blade's starting to get too far in here, and you're losing all your length. And I think you don't really want to have it be much shorter than it's about 30 inches right now. The handle has these rings. This is tactile, so that kind of gives you a tactile feel on the grip. Very comfortable in the hand. Nothing sharp. Everything's very refined. It's just a very, very elegant and simple design for a specific purpose, and that's dueling. There are, few sabers that are specifically designed just for, such a egalitarian purpose, and this is one of them. I really like the design of the pommel. It's unique. I haven't seen too much like it. It's very purposeful. Again, it's tactile, easy to remove. They have kind of I don't know, it's almost like they put a coat of some kind of grease material on the threads so that the threads won't bind on you. You don't have to worry about cross threading. So that's a nice touch. Here's one of the things I really like about this design, which sort of makes it the whole issue with the LED and the LED color. You can actually buy replacement chassis. They use a core system. And there's another hilt design that they have. They have the two. They have the Persuader and they have the Slayer. And the Slayer is very much kind of like a flow saber. It's a lot different than this. It's longer. You can get it with or without the tsuba, and it has kind of that Liberator feel where it kind of thins out in the middle from what I've seen, and it's a beautiful saber. And they utilize the same chassis system. So you can actually buy replacement chassis for about $55 and get different LED colors. So you can easily swap out the chassis if you want to get a different LED color. Now, eventually I'm going to get red because someday you're just feeling Sith. I don't know. Someday you're feeling Jedi. Some days you're feeling Sith. And I really would like to have the option to have this in red as well. So come payday, because I'm trying to pay more cash for things. I'm definitely going to order another chassis from these guys. And I really would like to buy this, pick up the Slayer. It's just a really, really nice hilt. It's longer than this. And it looks like a duelist dream. What else? I know I had something else to say. Fatigue is starting to take over. I'll just kind of give you the visual tour until I think of it. And again, this is just sort of a nice recessed flat surface. It's also weathered. You can leave it that way, but I chose to customize my saber a bit. Starting to get more into that. You'll notice it doesn't have a cover tick wheel or any kind of D clip or C clip or V clip or anything like that. You can customize it with that. I imagine if you when you're placing an order, if you did a request, they could probably customize it. But as it stands, you just sort of have it as clean as possible for the purpose at hand. This isn't really, a saber that you necessarily get for cosplay purposes. It's a tool, and it does this job well. So let me just show you. I'll swing this around a bit. You can get a sound version of this with the Pico Crumble, and I think they also do a Nano Biscotti V4, if I'm not mistaken. I was on, they have a Facebook page, they have a Facebook presence. It was on the Facebook page that they had mentioned the Nano Biscotti V4. I knew that they did Pico Crumble. So you can get this with sound. And it's not too terribly expensive. But I was just in the market for a stunt saber. If I ever get the opportunity to duel or go to a state and visit one of you, one of my friends that follows me, I've I've been told many times that people would like to duel me. You'd probably kick my ass because I've never actually dueled. Haven't had the opportunity. I just kind of watch videos of actual people that get to duel, and all the various forms, and I just kind of follow the master's lead, the Master Lee, and just use whichever techniques seem appropriate. One must be water, my friend. I'm talking about Bruce Lee, naturally. So, yeah, this is lightweight, very comfortable in the hand. Nothing to really impede you. The full length of the hilt is functional. Just a very nice, well-rounded design for a purpose. And that one purpose is, of course, dueling. And then, of course, you have your switch. And this is a little latching switch. It's very much like the latching switch on a saber forge, but unlike a saber forge, it's not quite. It doesn't stick out as much, and it's recessed into this pommel, so you don't have to worry about inadvertently turning the thing on and off, as one does with the latching switch on a saber forge, which is why I hate those. All right, so yeah, there you go. That's the Chao's Armory Persuader, and I purchased this from an Etsy store called Key Sabers, and the proprietor, his name is Kyle, and Kyle was super helpful. His customer service was excellent. It took me a while to get this saber, but that's all due to COVID-19 limitations, and it's been very difficult for sabersmiths to conduct business given the current climate. So he was very understanding, and he managed to get me my saber, and I absolutely adore this thing. This is a wonderful saber through and through, and this wasn't very expensive. I think this didn't cost more than $150 or something to that effect. I don't really remember, but it's worth every penny. So, if you're looking to, duel with your friends, and you have, sound sabers. Now, don't get me wrong. You can get a saber from AliExpress. You can get an Ultra Saber, or you can go get something a bit more expensive, and you can duel with to your heart's content. But I'm always concerned about the presence of soundboards. I find that, regardless of who makes the soundboard, I find that soundboards are definitely for show and not necessarily for dueling. And if you get something like this, I mean, you can drop this thing, you can throw it at a wall. Probably don't want to do that. Wouldn't be good for the wall. You can practice switching from hand to hand, or if you want to twirl it over your neck, as whatever, all the crazy things people do. That's not my fighting style, but you can pretty much go nuts with this thing, and you won't have to worry about it getting destroyed. This is a resilient piece, and the great thing is, like I said, if anything does happen to this chassis, which is highly unlikely, you can replace it, and and that's awesome. And you can have different colors. You don't have to worry about installs or anything like that. But then it does come with a chassis, and you could probably put in a soundboard if you are so inclined to. So there's a lot of flexibility here. So anyway, it's a wonderful saber. I really really enjoy it, and there you go. That's pretty much everything I have to say about this. That's all I have to say now at this point. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you have any questions, please throw them up in the comment. This will probably be the final word that I say on this, other than videos comparing weathering techniques, which is probably coming up. I have a saber that I'm going to be. Well, maybe you saw my video this morning. I'm going to be weathering and trying some things with that. And then maybe I'll do a comparison with this and a few other sabers that I've recently acquired. Weathering seems to be kind of the thing that I'm, getting into as a DIY sort of effort. Yeah. So anyway, please comment and subscribe, like, dislike, whatever is appropriate. And yeah, that's it. That's it for this evening. So I will see you guys probably tomorrow with something else. I hope everyone's staying healthy, happy, safe, and I hope everyone's doing well. Look at that thing. Is that pretty? All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. You have a good night. Bye.